Breaking news, the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, says Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man mistakenly deported to El Salvador last month, is, quote, not coming back to our country.
Let's get some reaction now from CNN legal analyst Jennifer Rogers and attorney Seth Berenzweig. Jennifer, I want to go to you. So you have the Attorney General saying he's in El Salvador, he's not coming back to this country. Is the administration now openly defying the Supreme Court order in your view?
Well, not yet, Pam, because the Supreme Court's order is not actually governing here. The Supreme Court just ordered that the district court make clearer what it wanted. So we don't have an actual order in place to be defied yet. But what Pam Bondi is saying is effectively, even if what she's saying really is that we're not doing what the district court is ordering us to do. And not only are they not doing what they've been ordered to do, they're not even telling the district court what they're doing or not doing. So they're definitely in defiance of the district court at this point. We're going to get discovery over the next 2 weeks, and we should learn more about what's been happening. But we're getting towards the constitutional crisis that you reference here, but we're not quite there yet.
Let me get Seth into this conversation. Seth, how do you see it? Is the Trump administration using the Supreme Court's relatively vague language to try to dodge its order?
I don't think so. I don't think that we're swimming in crisis waters just yet. It's important to zoom out a little bit and look at the perspective of this, because essentially this is a case involving an apparent error of process. The Supreme Court a few days ago approved of the president's ability under the Alien Enemies Act to do group deportations. With respect to this individual, there was never a ruling that he was immune from deportation. There was a so-called withholding order a couple of years ago that said that he couldn't be deported to El Salvador. So when the administration talks about administrative error, it's a matter of process and location. It's not about deportation itself. As was correctly noted, we're going to be in a 2-week period of expedited discovery. What will probably happen, consistent with the Supreme Court, or certainly could happen, is if they bring him back, it might be for a day or so for a so-called habeas hearing. But I do think that the administration's long-term position will probably come to bear, that he's not going to exactly be coming back to Maryland to live back in the United States.
That court order said he shouldn't be deported to El Salvador because his life there could be endangered.
Because he said that he was being threatened and his family was being threatened by a rival gang. That was alleged in 2011. There's a question about that gang still exists, but you're right. So it's really an element of location and process rather than substance.
Yeah, and just to help us better understand this, Jennifer, because the administration is saying we would send him right back to El Salvador despite that court order, and they're making the claim that he is a member of MS-13, but it has not provided that evidence, right? And in 2019, when that protective order was granted, the judge did review evidence in that case, and he was not convicted of anything and was still given that protective order. So what has changed since then to now, where the administration is saying that doesn't matter, we can still send him there?
Well, we don't know, Pam. That's kind of the problem. I mean, if he were given the appropriate process, if he were here and going through the immigration court proceedings, perhaps the government would put forward sufficient evidence to demonstrate that he's a member of the gang or is in some other way a danger. That's what we don't know. That's the process that he deserves and has not been given. Perhaps they do have that evidence, and if they bring him back, as they are supposed to do, and put him through those proceedings, perhaps they'll be able to prove it to the satisfaction of an immigration judge, at which time they can deport him wherever they want. The problem is that that process hasn't been given, and so we don't know. If they do it the right way, sure, perhaps he'll go back to El Salvador, but that's the steps they need to go through.
Seth, as you know, President Trump has now openly talked about the possibility of deporting U.S. citizens
Right.
To El Salvador or potentially to other countries, U.S. citizens who have committed crimes. Is there any circumstance under which that would be legal or constitutional?
I don't think that has any legs. I think that was a little bit of a throwaway line. President Trump
He's
does.
done it twice now.
Well, he has, and he'll probably do it a third time later today. But I don't think that has any legs. That's a little bit of a throwaway line. But just to go back a little bit to what was noted just a few seconds ago, this individual that we're talking about this morning has had process in front of an immigration judge. He had a trial. He had an appeal. He's now had his case in front of the United States Supreme Court. I think that in terms of the question is what's changed, one of the biggest things that's changed, that's caused this, is the change of political will. We have a situation right now where the White House is taking a fundamental approach to law and order at the border, and I don't want to lean too forward into politics, but the reality is that we've had these gang members that have been taking over apartment buildings. We have tapes of buildings in Aurora, Colorado that have literally been taken over by gangs. The Supreme Court has said that the Alien Enemies Act is permitted, and right now they're following the process. We've got an important 2 weeks ahead, so we'll see what happens, but I don't think we're in a crisis.
Right, and just to follow up on that, and there is no doubt that, Americans made it clear they want more done at the border, and they're concerned about safety and gang members. No one wants that. Yeah. I think the bigger issue here is the constitutional issue of, this is someone that did go before a judge in 2019, and there was evidence presented to that judge from a confidential informant that he could be a member of the MS-13 gang. Another judge cast doubt on that evidence, but he was given this protective order. And then just recently, he was rounded up, plucked off the street, sent to this mega prison in El Salvador known for human rights abuses without going to see a judge who could decipher, is this actually a member of MS-13?
Right.
He didn't get to file a habeas complaint. Is that acceptable to you under the Constitution?
No, it's not. He's entitled to a habeas complaint, and the Supreme Court said in the Alien Enemies Act ruling a few days ago that someone gets a habeas hearing. It's basically a one-day process, so I agree with you, and I think the administration has admitted we have an error of process here. So there's some cleanup to do. It's a problem. There's a process. We have a 2-week expedited discovery window, so there's a lot happening, but I think it's important to also zoom out on the process and understand he was not given deportation immunity. He was given a withholding order to not be deported to that location.
That's true, but I think also there's a difference between being deported to a mega prison in El Salvador with human rights, known for human rights issues and all kinds of things, and being deported elsewhere where you can have more rights and liberties and that kind of thing. So I think it does raise those interesting questions, and we're going to continue to cover it.
Absolutely. In the next 2 weeks, we'll move fast.
Right. Okay. And we want the administration to provide more transparency and information. We don't know. We don't know what evidence they have to back up the claim. Perhaps they have it. They just haven't shown it.
Yeah, we're journalists. We love transparency.
Yeah.
Jennifer Rogers and Seth Berenzweig, thanks to both of you very, very much.